Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here tonight at our Connect group. My name is Dominic Insenius. I'm the leader here at The Heart, and I'm so grateful for you to be a part of this group tonight. If you didn't already know it, you sitting in this room and being a part of this conversation, you're taking part in what we believe is the most important thing that we do here in this church, in this community, and that is gather together in groups and talk through and walk through our faith together. Now, the way we do group here, if it's your first time, is we have a few questions that are based on the message that we had on Sunday morning. But even if you weren't at church on Sunday or haven't listened to the podcast or don't even go to church at The Heart, you can still be a part of the conversation by answering some of the questions here and just being along with the journey with us. It's not required to having listened to the message or been there to be a part of the conversation. So on Sunday, a good friend of mine, Jeremy Harper, he came into town and he preached a message for us that was about trusting in God's plan for our life, trusting that God has a good plan for us. I think sometimes it's hard for us to trust because we want to be able to see what's next. We want to be able to know and understand what the next move is. But what he shared with us is it's tough to understand God because his love far exceeds what a human mind can even understand, the depth and the width and the height and the breadth of it. So one of our first questions tonight deals with trust. And what I want to know from you is, what does trust look like to you? Maybe you're not at a place where you're trusting God. And so maybe what I want to know from you is, what does trust look like to you in general? What does it take for you to offer trust to someone? And then if you want to answer more and you are at a place where you trust God, I want to know from you, what does it look like for you to trust God, to offer trust to God? So the question that I want you to talk through is, what does it look like for you to offer trust? And then what does it look like for you to offer trust to God? What does trust look like to you? So let's take a few minutes and talk through that together. All right, I hope you guys had some good discussion there. For this next question, I want to dig a little bit deeper, and I want to know two sides of the same coin here, two sides of the same question. One, what in your life, what is the easiest thing to trust God with? For some of us, it's easy to trust God with our money. For some of us, it's easy to trust God with our relationships, or it's easy to trust God with the weather, or whatever it happens to be. And so I want to know, what's the easiest thing for you to trust God with? And then the other side of that is, what is the most difficult thing for you to trust God with? See, because for some people, it's difficult to trust God with their money. They feel like they can trust God in so many other areas, but with their money, they need to control that. So in your life and your experience, what is the easiest thing for you to trust God with? And in your life and in your experience, what is the most difficult thing to trust God with? So let's take a few minutes and dig through that. And I want to encourage you to be brave when you share these things that are difficult or easy for you to trust God with. It helps to bring out those same types of things in us, because we're all human beings and we're all trying to, go through this life together, and we all have issues with trust in some areas. So it helps ease the tension for everyone in the room and to lower the anxiety. And that's what love and this community is able to help us do. So let's take some time to talk through that. What is an easy area of your life to trust God in, and maybe a difficult area? So let's talk through that together. All right, now for this third question, I want us to read through the scripture that we have, and then remember again, that's Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 21. It's a prayer that the Apostle Paul, he prays for the local church there. And in this scripture, I want you to read it through, maybe a couple different translations if you'd like. Now, in this scripture, Paul reminds the people reading this letter to not forget what God does, to not forget God's love, to not forget God's mighty power. And what I want to know is, if you read this and you see what Paul is reminding us of, why do you think that we need to remind ourselves, that Paul needs to remind us, why do you think we drift towards not trusting God rather than our drift is towards trusting Him? A lot of times in our life, and I know it's true for me, that I remind myself to trust God. I remind myself to trust the plan. Why do you think we as humans drift towards not trusting God rather than drifting towards trusting Him? So let's talk through that. And remember, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just different people with different walks of life and different backgrounds trying to talk through faith together. So let's take some opportunity here and talk through our faith together. All right, now for the last question tonight, what I want to be able to do is have you think through different areas in your life. Sometimes in our life we have areas that are going so well and we don't even pay attention to those because everything's going smooth sailing. Then we have these areas in our life that are struggling and we're having problems and we're dealing with it and we're talking to our friends about it and our parents and our counselors and our coaches and everything else. So what I want to know from you is what area of your life do you want to trust God more in? What particular area of your life do you think, I wish I could trust God with this area of my life? I wish it was easy for me to just say, okay, God, I trust you with blank. I trust you with this relationship. I trust you with my marriage. I trust you with my kids. I trust you with this job. I trust you with my schooling. I trust you with whatever it happens to be. What area of your life do you want to trust God more in? And I want to know from you, not just the area that you want to trust God more in, but what are you going to do this week to take steps in trusting God more? If you remember, our first question tonight is, what does trust look like to you? How can you take what we learned in that first question and say, okay, if I'm going to trust God more in this area, how can I take what I think trust looks like and apply that to my life this week, this month, this year, in trusting God more in that particular area? So let's take a few minutes to dig into that. This is the last question for tonight, so I'll leave you here. And I want to tell you that I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of your journey of faith. I am just like you. I'm on a journey of faith as well. And I love being able to explore God and Jesus and my faith together with you. We are starting a brand new series this coming week called Pursued, where we look at how God pursues us and what that means for us in our relationship with Him and what that means for us in our relationship with the people around us. I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. I want to invite you to invite others around you, your friends and your family, to come to church with you, so they can see that we are just people trying to figure this out together, that Christians are just normal people who are trying to explore God, maybe like they are as well. And we also have a brand new event that we're doing called HC Mixer. It's on February 26th at 6:30. I want to invite you to that as well. It's going to be a great time to connect with each other. It's a casual environment. We're just going to chat and get to know each other. We have games and snacks. So I want to invite you out to that as well. That's February 26th at 6:30 at Perk Up Coffee House. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I love you too much, and we'll see you soon.